Hello and welcome everyone. In this chapter, we are going to see the demo for DR and BDR in Cisco. So take an example. Let's say we have router 1 and router 2 and router 3 and router 4 and router 5. Same scenario, I will take it as we have done our theory session. See this, 4 different routers. Fine. And do one more thing, we will take a switch as well to connect our routers together. So first of all, I will go ahead and connect my routers to each other right now. So connect like this, all the routers are connected like this, done. And after that I will do one more thing. I will go ahead and configure the IP addresses and configure OSPF in this. So take an example in this scenario first, that the IP addresses configurations. So in this, I am going to configure, let's say 10.0.0.40 is the IP address for this, and we will consider the network here as 10.0.0.0 slash 8 only, let's say 8 only. Fine. So this is my 40 and this is my 10.0.0.30, 10.0.0.20, this is 10.0.0.10. Fine. So this is what we have configured here. We will configure. Right now I'm just considering. Now based on this, if you configure the OSPF, so of course OSPF DR and BDR election will take place automatically, and there will be a DR and BDR in this scenario. So you will find the routers with highest priority will become the DR. So by default the priority for this router, it will be 1. For this router the priority will be 1. All the routers will have the priority as 1 by default. So if it is getting tie, which router will become the DR? The router with highest router ID will become the DR router here. So in this case 10.0.0.40 is the highest IP address. So this router will become the DR router, and this router will become second highest. This will become BDR, and this will become DR other, and this will be also your DR other. This is what your actual DR and BDR election happens here. Fine. So let us move ahead and see the configurations, and we will do the verifications as well. Say this. So first of all, I'll go to this router 4 CLI and configure this router now. So first of all, I'll say no to this, enable configure terminal. I'll say host name as R4, that's very important, and then interface fast Ethernet 0 by 0. I'll configure the IP address first, no shut 10.0.0.40 and slash notation is 8. So this is my subnet mask. Done. Along with that, let us configure the OSPF also. Router OSPF 1 network 10.0.0.0 dot, this is my wildcard mask. If your slash notation is /8, this is your subnet mask. Opposite to subnet mask is wildcard mask. And configure the all areas as area 0 only. I'll consider as area 0 only. Oh, what happens? Sorry for that. This is my wrong. 0.255.255 and area is 0. Done. This is how you can configure it. So we have configured this particular routers as OSPF as well. Now we'll go to this router and configure this router as well. I am configuring the router 3 router. So what to do now? Say no, enable. First of all, host name, I will change this to R3, and then interface FA0 by 0, define no shutdown. IP address is 10.0.0.30 and subnet mask. Exit. Then router OSPF, network is this, and wildcard mask is this, and configuration is done. This is how you can go ahead and configure OSPF. Similarly, go to router 2 and configure the same. Say no, and host name is R4, R2. Then I'll say interface fast ethernet 0 by 0, no shut, and IP address is 10.0.0.20 and subnet mask. Then router OSPF, network is this, and wildcard mask is this, area as 0 only. That's it. Exit, exit. We have configured OSPF. I'll go to this and I will configure OSPF. Say no, enable, configure terminal. Host name I will configure as R1 first, and then IP address. Sorry, this is not the correct one. I will say no to this. I'll say this is my correct one. And then router OSPF process ID. Sorry. What happens? I have configured the IP address, right? Interface FA0 by 0, no shut, and IP address. Let me see. Yes, it is configured. Router OSPF process ID, network, and wildcard mask. Area as 0. Done. Show IP OSPF neighbor. There is no neighbor yet, but wait for some time. The OSPF routers will form the neighbor relationship, and you will be able to see all the routers has formed the neighbor relationships, and they have gone through DR and BDR elections as well. So we'll have to wait for some time, and then we will verify. See that we are getting some of the information here, right? So see this. Let me check. Show IP OSPF neighbor. You see here, some of the router is DR, some of the router is BDR, and some of the router is DR other. Can you see here? 10.0.0.40 priority is 1 and it is my DR router. 10.0.0.30 this is going to be my BDR router, and 20 DR other two-way state. Correct? This is how you can say yes, the DR and BDR election is done. If you want to force, let's say I want to make this particular router 1 as a DR router. So what I can do, I can go ahead and say priority is something, let's say 10. And I don't want to create this particular router 4 as, let's say, DR. I want to keep it as DR other. So I can change the priority to 0 like this. So in that case, what happens? This will be the scenario. This will be DR and this will be DR other. How to do that? Go to this router. Interface FA0 by 0. IP OSPF priority is 0. And here, this is how you can change the priority. Correct? And go to this router 1 and do this. Interface FA0 by 0. IP OSPF priority is 10. Done. This is how you can change the priority. Now you verify here in any of the router. show IP OSPF neighbor. See, can you see? This is DR, okay. Just hold on for some time. It should not be. This router will always act like a DR other, okay, and this router will act like a DR actually. But make sure there is no automatic re-election. What you need to do? You need to define this command. It's very important. I forgot to say that. Clear IPOSPF process. This command you will have to provide in all the routers at the same time. Routers will break the neighbor relationship. They will try to form neighbor relationship and they will go for DR and BDR election. This is one concept. Second concept is how you can define this clear IP OSPF process in all the router at the same time. Of course, yes, you need to keep it ready. This command. Do one thing. I'll keep it ready. Copy this. I will go to this router and say, I will say paste. Yes, it is done here. In this router also, I need to paste. Done. In this router also, I need to paste. In all the routers. Since I am doing it, maybe it is going to happen because I'm giving it, but still there is a delay. Okay. See this, we have given the clear IP OSPF process in all the routers. Now you can go ahead and verify here. Let's verify in any one of the router here. Show IP OSPF neighbor. Can you see this now? 10.00.10, which has the priority as 10, is become the DR router, and 10.00.40, which has the priority as 0, that becomes the DR other router, and 10.00.30, which has the second highest router ID, that becomes the BDR router. That's great. So this is how you can go ahead and test it out, your DR and BDR concepts. I hope this is clear to all of you guys. Now the next point which I would like to discuss, that if you want to change the OSPF metric, if you want to change the metric or change the cost, then how you can perform. See, to change the cost you need to go through this. Under interface mode like this, let's say interface F is 0/0, you can say this command as IP OSPF cost is 10, 100, whatever you want you can define. That's it. This is what the configurations. Like this you can go ahead and configure it. Okay. So go to this and change this. So show IP OSPF database. Okay, that's it. Fine. Show IP route. Of course you will not find anything. Because standard network is directly connected to this, so you will not find anything. But if you want to do, you know what you can do. Let me do one thing. Interface loopback. I will create one of the loopback interface with 11.0.0.1. I have created one loopback interface, and I will advertise this loopback interface in OSPF. I am creating one loopback interface, and let's advertise this in OSPF now. 11.0.0.0 and area, let's say 0 only. Done. You can go ahead and check into another router. Show IP route. See the cost for 11.0.0, cost is 2, correct? No. If I want to change the cost for this, you know what I can do? See, go to this particular router and interface loopback 1 IP OSPF cost. Cost is, let's say, done. See what I have given, the cost is something, and now you go ahead and verify here. See the cost. So like this, if you want, you can go ahead and change the cost of your interfaces. So loopback interfaces, since these are basically your logical interfaces and useful for testing purpose. So that's where I have created a loopback interface, and I have gone ahead and change the cost as well, so that you can go ahead and verify that the cost is implemented here. Fine. So that's it for this particular lecture, guys. I hope you got the concept of your DR and BDR and the cost. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.